2025 has drawn to a close, and I thought there's nothing better than recapping the year by listing my top 10 movies that I watched. Please note I saw 34 movies last year that launched in 2025, but I definitely missed a few of the heavy hitters that dropped. I will try to keep spoilers at a minimum level, but some plot points might have to be discussed to explain why I placed certain movies where I did. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and please, if I missed any movie gems in 2025, let me know in the comments section below, and I'll aim to check them out as soon as possible. Starting off this list strong, we have Left-Handed Girl. A lot of people call this one an Asian variant of the movie The Florida Project, and even though they are onto something with that statement, it definitely does stand on its own 2 feet as its own story as well. It does a really great job at showcasing normality and the struggles that come from that. How families always have secrets they wish to keep under the surface, and just how we as people are trying our best. As the title implies, our little leading lady is left-handed, and she struggles with this idea of not being normal or fitting in. A simple story, but a really worthwhile watch if you have the time. Companion is a film that truly is the best viewing experience when you go in completely unaware. Thankfully, I had this luxury when I watched for the first time. The trailers give far too much away and basically ruin the surprise, so if possible, just trust me on this one and boot up the film instead of just checking out the trailers first. The big reveal happens rather early in this plot, which in other movies more often than not makes the rest of the runtime suffer. But in this movie, I can gladly say that the plot just keeps evolving and changing after the reveal, which is really nice. My critique would be that it seems at times they held back. They went crazy with ideas, but I genuinely believe they could have gone bigger and crazier, and it would have only bettered the overall product. So truly, if you're looking for something that blends comedy and thriller aspects together well, this one definitely seems like it'd be something for you. One of the most talked about of the year was Weapons, and I can truly understand why. It's quite hard to make your mark on the horror genre without seeming like you're copying a previous film's homework, but Weapons excels at being its own thing whilst also having this really nice familiarity to it. It has a really amazing chapter format throughout that brilliantly explains something from the previous chapter that had you going, wait, what does that mean? Why is that there? And this really helps keep you questioning things, but also feeling some payoff in the following chapter. I will say though, that my only critiques of this one were that I didn't feel the villain in this was fleshed out enough, and I would have loved more context and backstory for her as a whole. Additionally, the conclusion wasn't good enough in comparison to the rest of the film. Acts 1 and 2 build it up really well, but Act 3 felt rather rushed and inconclusive. Perhaps this was a deliberate directorial decision, but for me the final act lets it down because the rest of the film really builds it up nicely. I'm very new to the superhero movies, so perhaps my viewpoint on them differs to those who grew up in love with the comics and the backstories of everything. But for me, Thunderbolts was a lot of fun. The action sequences were intense, and it countered this with some really heartfelt scenes regarding mental health issues. It can be hard to relate to superheroes due to their immense powers and how super they are, but seeing them showcase a more human side with this open discussion on mental health was something that has stuck with me in a positive way. I also fell in love with Florence Pugh's character in this, as she was equally badass and funny. And let's be honest, it's Florence Pugh, like you're bound to be in love with the character. Overall, it just felt like an easy watch that was nice for a newbie like myself. Whilst Bring Her Back clearly takes tropes from other horror movies, I do like how it still manages to put its own stamp on the genre. The characters are wild, sensitive, and at times hard to read, and seeing these events slowly unravel across the runtime felt very rewarding. There are lies on full show to us, the audience, but are hidden from a character who is blind in the movie. This makes such a great horror environment, as it builds suspense and maintains tension for the majority of the film. You know where it's probably gonna go, but by being aware of events whilst the blind character is completely unaware, really adds to that sense of how on earth is this going to end. I will say that perhaps it could have gone harder with the scares and tension. It had a great format to it, and the scares and the tension were really good, but I feel like they could have pushed the boundaries a little bit more with this one. Either way though, it was great. Nothing quite hits you in the feels like Straw. The perfect quote to sum up this movie is, "People don't know how expensive it is to be poor." We witness a mother who is trying her hardest to keep the ship afloat. She's slowly crumbling as one after another things go wrong during what should be a regular workday. We are left as the audience trying to figure out what was the final straw that made her snap. And I will give this film full credit as it managed to surprise me with what that final straw actually was. There's some really fantastic performances in this one, and I feel you'd have to have no emotions in your body to just leave this experience without feeling an ounce of sympathy or care towards the leading lady in this. And major props too, because there are so many side characters that have very minor roles in this movie, but it adds to the bigger picture, and they all just do a fantastic job that it just elevates the piece as a whole, so props to everyone involved. So I know I'm new to superhero movies, which I said prior, but I am equally as surprised as you that not only one movie, but two made it into my top 10 for 2025. Fantastic Four: The First Steps was so good as an entry point to this franchise for me, and I knew what was going on without them having to dumb it down. It felt fluid and well balanced, and the cherry on top was having a female lead in this too. Sue's story arc was really good, and I loved how the four of them worked together to save the Earth and little baby Franklin too. I must also add that Johnny Storm in this was a favourite of mine. He was so full of charm and funny that I often found myself even more engaged when he was involved in the action. Perhaps to the Die-Hard fans this one felt rather mid, but to me as a newbie it gives me excitement to go back in the franchise and eventually see what happened in all the previous entries. Forgive me for what I'm about to say, but my bronze medal of 2025 goes to A Very Jonas Christmas Movie, and truly I wish I was joking, but I'm not. It was silly, cheesy, and a perfect movie for the holiday season. The music was fun, and the character arcs were rewarding and made sense. I'm willing to accept that perhaps by being a Jonas Brothers fan since I was small gives me a hint of bias here, but I watched this with friends who aren't fans, and they still had a fun time. The runtime flies by as it's just so silly and fun, and it really complements the Christmas season due to having very nice morals at its core, and just really nice stuff regarding family, and discussing issues with those that you love and seeking resolution with that. Is it the best Christmas movie out there? Absolutely not. But it definitely will sneak its way onto my yearly Christmas rotation for sure. During my final year in education, for English literature we studied Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and I really loved the story. So when it was brought back to the screen in 2025, I was both excited and nervous for how it would go. But I'm super happy to give this my silver medal of the year. Previous attempts of this stray from the source material and take too many creative liberties that ruins the actual core concept of this. But I love how Guillermo del Toro makes his version blend both the important core aspects with some new aspects that he's added into his own interpretation of the work. It's a visually stunning film with practically every frame being worthy of being a picture on your wall. And while its runtime might seem intimidating at first, you soon discover that it was handled greatly and doesn't feel like a chore at all. The way it was shown via chapters from Victor's perspective and the creatures was actually something I loved a lot, and it added depth to both characters and their feelings and interpretations. It just impressed me on all fronts, and I'm super thankful that no member of the cast was weaker than the others. Sometimes you can see big blockbusters like this, and there's a couple of actors that you think, oh, your performance, ew, it's not cutting it, you've kind of let the piece down. I don't think that happens at all here. I think everyone, whether it's a minor or a major role, really does their part, and that just wraps it up in this beautiful little bow. It's just a genuinely great blend of script writing and visuals to behold on the big screen, whilst also complementing and being faithful to the original book. And last, but definitely not least, my gold medal winner of 2025 is the powerhouse that is Sinners. Where do you even begin with this movie? The cast is phenomenal, the music is a delight, and the runtime somehow whizzes on like a 90-minute feature, whilst actually being 138 minutes. Do you know how hard that is to achieve? Like, creating a piece over 2 hours long that feels like it speeds by is actually incredible. The sets elevate everything by one moment creating a beautiful backdrop, to the next we're surrounded by darkness and there's symbolic energy within that. And the scene where everyone is dancing inside the mill and the evil trio of white people are approaching, just watching while this mill is aflame, is genuinely one of my favorite things I've seen in 2025. And dare I say, it's perhaps up there with the best scenes I've seen in cinema ever. It's well shot, but also symbolic. Every aspect has some meaning to it, whether that's historic or just in regards to the story. The cyclical narrative nature of this is the best thing ever. I'm a sucker for a cyclical narrative, and this one is just done in such a way that is so rewarding, and I feel like I haven't rewatched this yet, but repeat viewings of this movie I think are going to be even better than the first time around. And please, let me get this off my chest. Without spoiling anything, I just love how at the end, when all is said and done, one man in this film chooses to let go and be truly free, and the other just doesn't quite have it in him to let go of that thing he deems most special. And for that, I just love Sinners, because it shows the dynamics of humans and the unknown and the mythical and the spiritual, and you know, it blends in history with such care and dedication that it's really, I don't understand how no one could not like this. You might not think it's a 5-star movie, that's completely okay. And I feel like if you leave this seeing the credits roll and you don't feel any sense of like empowerment, sadness, like any form of emotion that makes you go, wow, I don't know what to tell you, because this is, it's cinema, man. Sinners is cinema. So that's my top 10. Do you agree? Disagree? Did I miss something that you loved in 2025? Let me know in the comments below, as I'd love to discuss movies with each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel too. And if you have Letterboxd, feel free to drop me a follow to see what I'm watching in real time. If you want to become Letterboxd mutuals, I would love that. Just let me know your username in the comment section, and I'll be sure to follow you back. See you in my next video, whenever that may be. Have a great rest of your day. Catch you in the next one. Goodbye.